Hello, children. It's me, the OGGM. What do you think? I'm trying this whole digital avatar thing, and I don't think I'm doing a very good job. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. All right, hi. What you going on? It's 8:30. It is the 21st day of December 2021. It is 52 degrees and foggy with a high chance of rain here in Ventura, California. And I am your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, sports, controversy, and general internet nonsense. And hold on to your coffee because we've got two big stories. Well, not really, but whatever. Things to talk about today. First, it's the end of the year, so it's time to take a look at some of the tabletop role-playing games you might have missed that many people would consider some of the best titles of 2021. A lot of these are indies titles. A lot of these are a little bit weirder and more esoteric than your standard tabletop role-playing games. But these are all or at least some of the tabletop role-playing game titles that came out in 2021 that many individuals consider were pretty damn good, if not some of the best stuff. So let's take a look at what we agree with or disagree. One of these I agree with, most of the rest I don't, but whatever. Okay, so we have Ark, Tabletop RPG from Exalted Funeral. This is it's called Ark Doom Tabletop Role-Playing Game. This is a role-playing game about the apocalypse and trying to stop it. You can get it over on Exalted Funeral. It uses a doomsday clock role-playing setting type thing where things count down towards the zero, and the players have to perform multiple actions during the game to get the doomsday clock to not reach zero, because if it does, they fail to save the world. It's $50 over at Exalted Funeral for the hardcover and the PDF. Is it worth $50? Nah, I don't feel it is, but who cares? Then we have CBR PNK for $6. This is basically a hack it any way you want it cyberpunk game. It's not even a zine, it's a pamphlet, really. All the rules fit on 2 trifold pamphlets. It uses the Blades in the Dark engine because a lot of games are using that engine. I really need to take a deeper look into the Blades in the Dark engine since so many role-playing games seem to be using that engine lately. So it's a fold-out pamphlet game, $6 to download the pamphlet and then print it out. And it's a cyberpunk game, but more importantly, it's a system on how to design very minimal cyberpunk-style games using only 2 prompts and enough information to fit on 2 pieces of paper. $6 over a drive-thru, considered to be a pretty good cyberpunk game. Flashback. We have Dot Dungeon. This is $14 or $5 at drive-thru. Dot Dungeon is a game about playing a game. You play people in high school, but you're also playing people in high school who are playing characters in a D&D game or in an online MMO. So you're a person playing a character through a high school hyper-fictionalized version of high school, but then you also play that character playing a character in a MMO. Everything you do in the real world version of the game affects the characters in the MMO setting of the game, and everything the characters in the MMO setting of the game has the ability to influence things that happen in the player's real life. So it's a multiple level Ready Player One style role-playing game. We've seen a couple of these starting to show up where you play a character who's also playing a character kind of thing. I definitely need to see this one played. It could work. It could be awful. I don't know. It could be very confusing. It sounds fun. Because basically you're playing 2 characters and you're switching between the 2 of them. So if you get bored of character A, you can jump into the MMO and play character B. And again, the idea that everything that happens in the real world high school version aspect of the role-playing game affects the digital aspect of the role-playing game. And you could have whole games all about what's going on in the digital world, whole game all about what's going on in the high school world, or intermix the 2. First half is high school or video game version. Second half is high school, vice versa. This one might have legs, and it's $14 for the PDF, so that's not too bad. Then we have Gubat Benoit. I probably pronounced that wrong. Gubatbanwa. The elevator pitch for this game was Wiaksu martial arts fiction by way of classic Filipino folklore, leavened with a heavy dish of video games like Mortal Kombat. So this is uses a version of 4th edition. It's all about actions and positioning and related effects and very much video game, fighting game style of feel, where you play characters who are masters of various martial arts and doing all sorts of crazy over-the-top wire work, Chinese kung fu action film kind of stuff. It's $20 on drive-thru for the PDF. I don't know how much the physical printing is. This one's pretty interesting, but it's very niche-y, so I don't know. And most games that have attempted to capture the energy of Chinese wire martial arts films or fighting games have not done well. Then we have Wander Home. This is one of the few that I agree with could have been really, really good. Maybe even one of the best indie games of 2021. Wander Home is a game built on the Belongings Outside Belongings game, first established by Avery Alder and the Dream Askew and Dream Apart role-playing game. It doesn't use dice. It's a question and answer type game, very little combat. It's very much just a story about anthropomorphic animals going on a journey and how they interact in the world. It's very charming. It's very light. It's very fun. It's very child-oriented. It reminds me a lot of sort of a Miyazaki film. So yeah, this one I'm kind of excited about. Unfortunately, it's $60 for the hardcover, $45 for the paperback, or $25 for the PDF. That's a lot of money for such a niche game. If it was a little bit lower, I'd recommend it higher than I do. As it is, it's definitely a good idea for a kid's game. It's not an original idea. We saw stuff like this previously. But anything that sort of tries to capture that wonderment and charmingness of a Miyazaki, My Neighbor Totoro kind of film, that sort of tries to get away from the combat and just have an adventure that's more childlike and filled with wonder. It definitely rates high, but again, the price kind of stabs it in the back. Some of the other games from 2021 that came out that we didn't know about. That maybe didn't get the press that they deserved. Where's the rest of this list? We have Gun and Slinger, which is a $25 game, downloadable PDF. One player plays the character. The other player plays the character's weapon. And it's a Dark Tower style game. But it's only open for like 2 to 4 players because one player plays the character, another player plays that character's intelligent magic item. So it's an interesting idea, but you're always going to have a character who's secondary and limited to the things they can do, because really, how much can a magic sword do if I'm playing a magic sword as a character? Many years ago, I tried to run a game where one of the player characters was a magic item, and it didn't work. So, yeah, that's Gun and Slinger. But it's an interesting idea, and it got some decent reviews. Wander Home is still pretty much the highest rater. We have Galactic 2E. This is a $15 PDF downloadable. It's a character-driven, relationship-focused space opera where you play archetypes and you go about doing Star Wars type stuff. You're playing in a rebellion. There's racial relationships and how your relationships affect each character and the history of the game while there's a war going on. So very much Star Wars inspired. Oof, the list keeps crashing. I apologize. Stupid computer. We have Slayers. This is another downloadable game that was reached a lot of popularity in the indie scene. It's a winner of the Indie Groundbreakers Award for Best Rules. It was nominated for 3 Ennies. This is the one where the whole game takes place inside a city. I think we've talked about this before. All the characters are in the city. The city is ever growing, never changing, always just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The entire world is the city. Everything you do is in the city. And you're basically slayers, adventurers in this city trying to solve the mysteries and survive. Not a lot of dungeon crawling. It's a city crawl. But when you have a never-ending city that's continuing to grow day by day and slowly consuming the world around it, I mean, you could have dark, mysterious alleys and strange sections of the city that weren't there before that open up whole paths for adventures. It's action-filled. It only has 4 classes. It only uses certain dice. It's very simple. So, yeah, another one. We have Lichcraft. I think we talked about this one before. This is the one about immortal undead secretly living in England, controlling English politics because they have been immortal and they've been doing it for so long. It's $10 for this one, downloadable PDF. This one didn't really do anything for me. And the last from this list of games that we might have missed that could have been possibly some of the better ones is Orbital Blues, which is another game about space, the rock and roll future of yesteryear that never was and nobody wanted. It's an intergalactic age of cowboys, outlaws, and bandits playing in an interstellar stage. So Orbital Blues is a lo-fi space western role-playing game about basically playing out Cowboy Bebop, another Cowboy Bebop style game. That whole, lo-fi space western rules light that is inspired by Cowboy Bebop, Firefly, and Guardians of the Galaxy. You're, interstellar outlaws, you're forming crews, you're navigating the universe and the economy of the universe and the politics of the universe, always trying to stay one step ahead of the ever-expanding law, shutting down of the freedom of the galactic spaceways. This is a PDF also for $14 available on drive-thrus. So pretty much these are all, with the exception of Wander Home, these are all PDF games, direct-to-download games. Obviously, Wander Home is my number 1. Dungeon is my number 2 of the games that came out this year in 2021 that maybe didn't receive as much press as they could. If you agree with any of these, let me know. If there's a game I missed, let me know. What is the game you're most excited about in 2022? We've already talked about that, but I'm sure we'll talk about it again as the year brings to a close. Strangely enough, on none of these lists of best tabletop role-playing games of 2021 that you might have missed is Alice is Missing, tabletop role-playing game of the year. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say that saying Alice is Missing was the tabletop role-playing game of the year might have been one of the biggest mistakes the Ennie Awards has made in a while. I don't know how that game won, considering it hasn't sold a single copy according to the sales, and it's not listed in any list since then as one of the best tabletop role-playing games of the year. So, sorry Alice is missing, but maybe next year will be your year. Also noticeably missing from any of these lists is anything from Wizards of the Coast or Paizo. Guess you just don't know your audience anymore, do you, Wizards of the Coast? That's pretty much evident from what's happened this week so far. And we will be speaking about Wizards of the Coast and the non-stop nonsense that seems to be circulating around it relatively soon as we address another big Hippocratic conspiracy that rose up this weekend with the D&D is racism, because that people are bringing that old chestnut back to the front. So I guess we have to talk about it. So what do you think? Should I keep doing a little avatar in the corner, or is this just a stupid idea, or should I get a better one? I need to step up my vlogging game if I want to hit 1,000. And speaking of 1,000, please subscribe to the OGGM Adventures if you haven't yet. We're at 570, so we only need 400 more and 400 and change to go. Are we going to make it by the end of the year? Probably not. So yeah, missed your chance to see the cat, because that's what everybody wanted. Till next time, like, share, subscribe, support my charity of choice for the holidays, which is Team Primetime here in Los Angeles, California, and stay warm. I will talk to you later. I'm Santa.